Chapter 7. Another coincidence. "Oh my God, Esme, are you okay?" Tilly came rushing over to make sure I was all right, and in a desperate attempt to collect some of the pieces of glass from the floor before anyone else cut themselves. Amy rushed to grab some kitchen roll, and Molly ran to mop up the spillage. I snapped back into the room. The silence from the shock of the article disappeared, and I suddenly realised the girls were rushing around me, clearing up the mess. "Hey, what's up?" Amy put a hand on my shoulder to ease my confused expression. "I'm so sorry. Hunter sent me an article, and the bottle, well, it slipped." "So aren't you going to share it with us? What article did he send you, Esme?" Tilly sounded intrigued. I helped them clear up the mess first. Retrieving another bottle of wine from the fridge, this time being careful not to drop it, I poured them each a glass. Then we all sat back down where I could open the link Hunter had sent me and read it to them aloud. "Woman dies in horrific car accident. Body formally identified as 38-year-old Cordelia Jones," I began by reading out the article heading. "Okay." Amy couldn't see the connection. "Cordelia Jones. She is the lady I have been working this case on behalf of. The woman who reported Andrew Faraday had been following her," I explained. "Holy shit!" Tilly looked at Amy and Molly in shock. "When did this happen?" "I think it was earlier this evening. The article has literally just been released. I don't know whether Hunter was notified via the station as internal news or he had just seen the article on his news app." I placed my finger on my lip as I scrolled farther down the article. "Keep going." Both Tilly and Amy pushed me to continue reading. "A female driver was involved in a car accident at around 6 p.m. this evening. Firefighters and ambulance crew arrived on the scene shortly afterwards, but sadly, she was pronounced deceased. Cordelia Jones, 38, appears to have collided with an oil tanker on the A328 and as a result was crushed between both vehicles and the concrete intersection approaching Junction 3. I looked up from my phone. All their eyes locked on me, hooked on every word I was reciting. There was a chilling picture of her with her daughter and husband. As much as I wanted to believe that this had been a freak accident, I knew it hadn't. There had to be more to it. Did this have anything to do with the case? Had someone found out that she had been speaking to me? She had said she hadn't told her husband. Was he something to do with this? It all seems a bit fishy, if you ask me. Not just a coincidence. Amy tried continuing the conversation. "I just can't concentrate and figure this thing out right now," I replied. "I don't have the focus. It's all a bit much at the same time, don't you think?" "I know what you mean. First Casey. It could have been any one of us there at the club, and now this with Cordelia. You don't think they are connected, do you?" Tilly asked. I shook my head. "I don't think so. Casey definitely has Sarah written all over it. Or her accomplices, at least. Cordelia, on the other hand, could be connected to the case. The last thing she said to me was that it was happening again, that she was being followed. If Andrew Faraday is dead, who on earth was following her, and why? Maybe someone doesn't want us to investigate Andrew's death, and there was foul play involved after all." We all held our heads low until my phone rudely rang out and startled us. "Hey, Samuel, did you manage to reach Sarah?" I answered, desperate to find out. No, I didn't, sorry. I have tried ringing. I tried her place too, but she's not there. No one has seen her since we got back from the US. Are you girls okay?" he asked. "Yes, we are fine. Isn't that a bit strange? She's normally on everyone's case. Silent isn't like Sarah." "I know, very odd indeed. I'm sure she will be in touch. I'm more intrigued into what this deal was and why they were looking for her. She'll be fine. She always is. Sarah will pop up when we least expect her to." Samuel seemed disinterested, and to be honest, it was one less thing to worry about. My only concern was whoever was looking for her may come back to the club, and I didn't want any of the rest of us getting caught up in that scenario. "I think we are going to try get a little sleep and then head back to the hospital in the morning to see if there is any news on Casey." I wasn't in the mood to talk this evening. I know, I understand. I will let you go. Let me know if you hear anything. I love you. See you tomorrow. Love you too, Samuel. I was about to hang up. Esme. Yes? Rest assured, I will find out who did this to Casey, and I will get to the bottom of this mess. Just because I can't find Sarah doesn't mean I won't get answers. You are my world, and I know how much she means to you. I felt a dark tone in his voice. He meant business. I had heard him use strong words in the past, but this time he sounded pissed off. Really pissed off. I know you will. Thank you. Speak in the morning. I hung up and held the phone to my chest, looking at the ladies in turn. Any news? They asked. No, nothing. He can't get hold of Sarah. I pursed my lips together disappointedly. One by one, each of us fell asleep on the sofa side by side and had managed to pull the blankets that I always kept on the end of the armrests over and onto us. I was the first to stir, my overactive brain kicking in and wanting me to get up and go see Casey, and if there had been any improvement before continuing with the case. I snuck quietly out from the warm blanket and tiptoed to the bathroom for a shower. There was something so relaxing about having a shower after a stressful event. Even though I had just woken up, it still felt good for the warm water to just pour over my emotional body. The danger was that even in the few short minutes I was in there, my mind still tried to run away with me. I had to shut it down, lock it in, and focus on getting washed, changed, and to the hospital. I opened the bathroom door, my towel wrapped around me and my hair dripping down my back. Amy and Tilly were stood in my small kitchen area, their backs up against the cupboards, each with a cup of tea cuddled between both their hands, talking quietly between themselves. Molly had to dash off, but said she would meet us at the hospital later. Morning, I eventually broke out in a rather husky morning voice. Oh, morning. There's a cuppa on the side for you. Amy smiled. Thanks, honey. Feel free to have a shower, towels in their normal place. Help yourselves to whatever is in there. I pointed behind me as I quickly went to get changed in my bedroom next door. Will do, they both shouted back to me. I had no cares in the world as to what people thought of me. My concern was my best friend, so I threw on an old pair of jeans and a comfy hoodie and left my hair to dry, at which point I would tie it up into a band round my wrist. I sat on the bed to put my socks on and sighed. I felt so deflated. The reality of thinking the worst was creeping in. What if Casey didn't make it? What if she had sustained some kind of brain damage and was disabled? I didn't know how she would cope with that, what with her being such an independent woman, or me, or Hunter for that matter. I glanced at the clock on my bedside table. 8:02. Right, come on, Ms. King, think positive. Get your arse in gear, go see Casey and get solving this case. It won't solve itself. Morning, beautiful. Missed waking up next to you. Samuel's text flashed up on my phone. Missed you too. Heading to the hospital with the ladies shortly. Love you. I quickly tapped a message back to him and slid it into the back pocket of my jeans. It had been nice to spend a bit of time with Amy, Molly and Tilly. We hadn't done it in so long despite the circumstances. Normally one of us would be nipping in or having to leave to be somewhere. It was nice to hear what was going on in their lives and what they had been up to. Amy gave us the lowdown on her latest drama, the ongoing messages she had received from her latest patient, although I'm sure, through patient confidentiality, she shouldn't have shared them, but it would stay within our four walls anyway. Tilly assured us that her affair with the married man she had met a few months back was now well and truly over, but she was just as bad as Amy and had been going back and forth with text messages all night as well. Molly seemed a little preoccupied, or maybe she was just distracted by everyone else's drama that she didn't have time to fill us in on her life. In a strange way, Samuel and I seemed to be in a rather quiet stage of our relationship. We were both happy and content with each other and felt like it was going in the right direction, or at least that was how I saw it. I like to think Samuel had the same opinion. After popping into Hunter's place to pick up some things for him, we all sat in the hospital waiting room, not knowing what to expect. Hunter had just messaged to say that he was on his way down from the ward to meet us, but that there were no updates. All he could say was that Casey was in a critical condition. I felt a gentle hand on my shoulder as Samuel arrived and sat down beside me. "Any news?" he asked. "Nope," I said, shaking my head. "I know they say no news is good news, but I think we would all like something." Amy gasped as she saw Hunter appear at the main doors. She stood to give him a hug. His hair was all over the place, and he had black bags under his eyes and a broken spirit. I think it had been a tough night, and he needed that hug more than anything else as he held her for a fair few minutes. "How is she?" Tilly asked. I kept quiet, listening tentatively as he came to sit down with us. "Well," he said, swallowing, "she is in the intensive care unit and could be for some time. They think she was hit with a weapon of some description, which resulted in blunt force trauma and moderate brain injury. She has had surgery to repair the damage to her skull and has about 28 stitches. The bigger concern is the effect the fracture has had on her." Hunter paused, choked and struggling to release his words. "It's okay, Hunter. We are here for you both." I held his hand in reassurance. The effect on her brain resulted in bleeding, swelling, or affected the nerve fibres underneath. They have had to place her in a medically induced coma to aid recovery and reduce brain activity, amongst other things, but they don't know how long for. It could be weeks or even months, and then even after that, we don't know how it will affect her. Hunter broke down. I hadn't seen him sob like this since we were children. He'd broken his favourite toy, and he had been devastated. I sat back in my chair and slumped my head backwards, staring at the ceiling. I had no words. Nothing could make this okay. Not one single thing I could do would help right now. My heart was breaking into a million pieces, as I'm sure was everyone else's in the room. There was silence. "We have to think on the positive side," Amy suddenly spoke, "if only for Casey's sake. There are great stats around recovery. Medically induced comas are there to protect the brain. They will continue to monitor her until they see signs of improvement." She nodded, if only to get everyone else in agreement. "And if she doesn't?" Hunter was abrupt. "You can't think like that. We can't give up," Tilly snapped. "They said that even afterwards she may suffer severe headaches, personality changes, difficulty with daily activities, or even social interactions. Casey is and has always been the life and soul of the party. This could completely change her. I'm not sure I can—" Hunter stood, rubbing the side of his face in frustration. "Sarah has a lot to answer for." I made an aggressive look at Samuel. It wasn't his fault, but until we knew where Sarah was and what the hell had happened, I was laying every inch of blame on her. "She does, but this is not the right time. We have to focus on Casey and Eve Sarah to me. She will get her comeuppance for sure." Samuel shot me down instantly. I took charge. "Hunter, here are a few things and a change of clothes for you. Why don't you have a quick shower? Get some energy back into yourself for Casey's sake. We will sit with her in turns until you are back, and then we will leave you in peace for the rest of the day. Is there anything you need me to do? Have you spoken to anyone at work, and do they know what is going on?" "You mean personally or professionally?" he asked. Both. Personally, that your main priority is here with Casey until she is out of ICU, and you need to take leave, and professionally, from the perspective that whilst we can't track Sarah down, the police need to find out who is responsible for grievous bodily harm. I was very matter-of-fact. "I have a few phone calls I need to make. If you can sit with her whilst I sort a few things, it would be really appreciated." Hunter half smiled, taking his bag of belongings from me. "The station knows what happened, and they arrived just as the ambulances did. I left them investigating the scene with Hugo, but I haven't heard anything back from them as of yet, or if they managed to find anything," Hunter explained. I leaned in for a hug, but he gave me a half pat on the back with his other hand instead. He was cold and very distant, but that was understandable, and I couldn't blame him. "She's going to be okay," I whispered into his ear. I half believed it myself, but he needed to hear it. "You saw the article I sent you then?" he said, changing the subject. Uh-huh. I'm shocked to say the least, but I can't concentrate on the case right now, I replied. We were only allowed one person at a time with Casey while she was in ICU. I went to see her first while the girls remained in the waiting room. Samuel had a few things he needed to do, so I agreed to meet him back at his later that evening. I gently perched on the chair next to her bed. She looked so pale. Her face was still beautiful, but her normally makeup-clad complexion was so plain and lifeless. A large white bandage and dressings were around her head, mainly at the back, but I could see small tangles in her hair from either clotted blood or surgical liquids. I made nervous small talk, just so she knew I was there. Even if the tiniest part of her could sense I was next to her, that was all that mattered. I told her about the case, that we were making progress, and about the article Hunter had sent me the previous night. She would have loved the detail and would be contemplating the consequences. I sat back in the chair and browsed Cordelia's name for results on the accident. I needed to speak to her husband. Did he have a clue as to what was going on? What would now happen with the case? Would it end there? Cordelia Jones, car accident. I searched. The results came back instantly. A couple more web pages were covering the news, so I clicked on each in turn to see if there was any additional information. Cordelia Jones, wife of CEO and co-founder of financial services firm SPF plc. Rupert Jones dies in fatal car accident, appealing for any witnesses. Fatal car accident involving a 38-year-old woman and the driver of a large oil tanker have both died on impact. Police are urging anyone who saw this or has any information to get in touch. Major car accident involving the driver of a small sports car and a large oil tanker has been described as devastating by both their families, which took place on the A328, Junction 3, yesterday evening. Both died on impact. Well, Casey, that just sounds terrible. I scanned the list, then returned back to the top to click and read. Not much more information other than what I already knew, but I needed to get in touch with Rupert, Cordelia's husband. He may not have even been aware that she had been speaking to me. I stared and stared at the picture of the crash scene as though in a daydream, the thoughts about why whizzing round in my head until I noticed something extremely strange staring back at me. A detail so tiny that anyone could have missed it. A piece of metal. I couldn't make out exactly what it was, but it had a logo on it that I had seen before a couple of times. A pharmaceutical type of logo, and the initials FIC. Where had I seen this before?